Hi. Imagine you're standing in line at the store waiting to check out. In front of you is a woman with her children. One is being a good boy and waiting patiently. The other is throwing the temper tantrum of a lifetime. The degree of the tantrum is unlike anything you've ever seen, and you think to yourself, "Oh my God, what a brat. If I was that kid's parent, I'd set him straight." Then you see the woman hand her son the very item he's been screaming, crying, and kicking for. She gently pats his head and tells him that it's okay. You notice that as she looks around and sees the people staring at her and her children, that she looks frazzled. And you think to yourself, well, what does she expect when she's just giving him what he wants for acting like a little devil? He's spoiled when what he really needs is discipline. This is a scene that my wife and I have lived through countless times when we go out with our children, whether to the store, a restaurant, or the park. This is our lives. In April 2005, my oldest son, Lewis, was born. My wife had a difficult pregnancy, and after almost 48 hours labor, Lewis was delivered by emergency C-section. He was perfect, 10 fingers, 10 toes, and big blue eyes. He was what we'd waited for 9 months and 48 long hours. He was our firstborn, he was our son. At the age of 4, he would be diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Today I'd like to talk to you about autism spectrum disorder and some of the behaviors children with ASD may have. Many children with autism spectrum disorder develop particular behaviors. Some are problematic, while others are unusual, but all of them serve a purpose for the children. Today I'd like to look at 2 common behaviors of children with ASD: temper tantrums or outbursts, and repetitive behaviors. First, let's look at the tantrums or outbursts. Most children with autism have some sort of communication delays. Some children's receptive understanding of language will develop over time, while their language or their ability to speak is significantly delayed. My son Lewis was able to understand most of what we said to him very early. For example, I'd say, "catch," and he'd hold out his hands. On the other hand, Lewis didn't actually say more than mama, dada, and milk until he was 2.5 to 3 years old. Because these children lack the ability to effectively communicate their needs or fears, oftentimes acting out or throwing a tantrum is their only way of getting the attention they need. Along with delayed communication skills, many children with ASD are extremely sensitive to their surroundings. Remember the child in the introduction? Let's assume he is screaming for a pair of headphones or sunglasses. They may seem like toys to other people, but oftentimes they are to alter the autistic child's environment so that they can be comfortable. Perhaps the hum of the fluorescent lights is bothering the child, or how bright they are. Perhaps there is a particular pitch to the beeping on the cash register that is hurting the child's ears. Because most children with autism spectrum disorder process information differently, even if they could tell you what was wrong, they may not be able to understand the solution you give. As with the pitch of the register, you'd say, "We're almost done, and then we'll go home." Unfortunately, because they are already in a state of distress, they are not likely to actually comprehend what you've told them. However, the child has probably thrown fits in the store before and has realized that this behavior gets them removed from this environment, and usually quickly. Take a moment to think of all the times you've seen a child act out in a store and the mother leaves her cart and takes the kid out of the store. For a child with ASD, their problem has just been solved. There are a few things that can be done to try to avoid the meltdown. Like I mentioned before, sunglasses and headphones are 2 tools that can be used to help make the child more comfortable. Some other things are bringing a favorite toy, preparing the child with transition statements, and tell them, "Okay, we are going to the store in 5 minutes." Then again, say, "We are going to the store in 3 minutes." And then finally, "Okay, it's time to go to the store." While we are there, you can have your sunglasses and Shrek doll with you. We also use a tool called Pixisms. These are cards with pictures on them. These pictures help the kids understand, as many of them have trouble communicating. Next, I'd like to look at what is called repetitive behaviors. Some examples of these types of behaviors would be rocking, headbanging, chanting, or drumming. Since these children's brains process information differently, many of them become overstimulated quite easily. For instance, think about a typical family setting at home. The TV is on, maybe the phone rings and the dog barks while mom loads the dishwasher. With most of us, we hear these sounds or we receive this information and file it away and we go about our business. But for children with ASD, this family scene may cause an enormous amount of stress. Because their brain doesn't process information correctly, this would be overwhelming. Now, many children with ASD will develop a behavior that can help control how much input is received by their brain. For my son, he likes to tap on spoons. He will tap a spoon on a container and hum or sing for long periods of time. This is called output. By creating his own soothing output, he blocks input into his brain by blocking out sound. Most of these children are also getting some sort of sensory stimulation through the repetitive behavior, as many autistic children have sensory development delays as well. Most repetitive behaviors are not physically harmful, but these behaviors can be disruptive, especially for school-age kids. We have found the best way to handle this is to provide a safe environment for the child to be in. Also, when the child starts to do the behavior, we try some calming techniques such as deep breathing or counting. Remember, these behaviors are typically a sign of overstimulation, so we try to calm him down. In conclusion, I'd just like to touch briefly again on the topics we covered. First, remember that autism is not a disorder marked by physical deformities as some other disorders are, such as Down syndrome. Children with ASD look like all other kids, but often develop behaviors that help them cope with situations that cause them stress. So if a child is having a tantrum or outburst, remember maybe it is due to something in their environment that seems so normal to everyone else. The glare of the lights, the beep of the register, or simply the number of people around them. Not all behaviors are negative. Some are known as repetitive behaviors. Something the child will do over and over and over for comfort, such as rocking, chanting, or drumming. While these may seem strange to onlookers, they do provide the child with a source of comfort and a way to relieve stress and anxiety. I hope that today everyone takes something away from this speech. The next time you come across this scene, don't be so quick to jump to conclusions. Today, 1 in 100 children are diagnosed with autism. So take a step back and consider the possibilities and what these parents may be dealing with on a daily basis. And as it is true that not all these kids will be autistic, some will. Don't misunderstand. None of these parents want pity or sympathy. They love their kids the same as the next set of parents. But what they need, desire, and deserve is patience and understanding from fellow members of their community. Thank you for your time.